And we are back. Now, on our next story, I just want to go and start off with a statement that lately it's been hard to be a Muppet fan, or at least to be a Muppet fan and to be excited for what the future may hold. And this is especially the case when we have heard the recent news that Muppet Vision 3D is indeed going to be replaced with the Monsters Inc. area at Disney's Hollywood Studios in Walt Disney World. So there are many Muppet fans out there whose souls are pretty much crushed and to this day are still trying to recover from that news, even though that there are like some silver lining to that announcement that with the fact that Muppet Vision that the Muppets are going to be replacing Aerosmith in Rock and Roller Coaster. But now to add insult to that injury, it looks like one of the most well-known Muppet fans is actually canceled. Why? Well, even though we were so close to ending the year, we gotta go and have one more major piece of stupid shenanigans. Now, to go into this whole story, this is all related to a social media account by the name of Muppet History. Now, some of you may know Muppet History. If you're a Muppet fan, then you know Muppet History. In fact, you may have followed Muppet History on social media, a very popular social media account that is dedicated to post nothing but Jim Henson and Muppet related content. Rather it be about Jim Henson himself, or the Muppets, or Sesame Street, Fraggle Rock, Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, Bear in the Big Blue House, what have you. If it's related to Jim Henson, then they would go and make a post about it, rather it be something that's funny, that's wholesome, or something that sends out a positive message. And that was one of the biggest appeals of Muppet History, is that every day it helped shine a light on people's timelines so that they would go and create something that is positive and wholesome to go and maybe help brighten their day. And like I said before, the popularity of Muppet History was very big. In fact, on Instagram, it got over 500,000 followers, almost 600,000, in fact. And on Twitter, it got almost 300,000. But then recently, they made a weird, ominous post. And I got it from my source here on Reddit, in which the Muppet History account actually made this little statement here, in which it says, "Good evening. We wanted to take a moment to address some concerns that have arisen as of late. Before we dive into these concerns, we want to thank you for your continued support and encouragement. We acknowledge that we are human and have made mistakes in the past. We are always striving to learn and grow and appreciate your understanding and grace. We extend our thanks to those who hold us accountable. This community is near and dear to our hearts, and we hope to foster and embody the principles of Jim Henson in our words and actions. Therefore, we extend our most sincere apologies to those whom we have hurt, either through this platform or personal platforms. There have been a series in which boundaries with friends and viewers through messaging were overstepped. To the people who have been made uncomfortable by these actions, we have only ourselves to blame and ask for your forgiveness. In building this community, we have been overly protective, confusing fellow fan accounts for competition. We have not properly intervened when members in our community have caused harm in defending our name. We have overstepped boundaries and ignored the hurt it caused. We cannot take back what has been said, and we do not offer this apology with expectations that you will accept it solely on our word. We will be taking a step away from posting personal content on this platform over the next few weeks to reflect on our next steps forward in bettering ourselves. This community deserves only the best. We understand that actions speak louder, and we hope that one day we can regain your trust." From the creators of the creator of Muppet History, Joshua Gillespie, and his wife, Holly. Now, this seems a little bit weird, right? Because in here, they don't necessarily specify what is it that they're apologizing for. They seem to be pretty vague in terms of what they have done wrong. Like, They apologize for it. They're sorry, but they didn't necessarily say what it is or why do they have to go and create this post and make this kind of apology. When people saw this, they were absolutely confused. Well, that answer seemed to come out quickly when it was revealed that, unfortunately, Joshua Gillespie is kind of a creep. And to go and give you a summary about what actually happened, I'm just going to go and read you here from my source on Know Your Meme, which actually has a pretty solid page to go and summarize entirely what the controversy has been going on. So I'm just going to go and read you the overview, which is the Muppet history sexual harassment allegations, or Muppet history drama, refers to several accusations of online sexual harassment leveled against the Twitter and Instagram Muppets fan account Muppet History, run by Joshua Gillespie, who allegedly has a history of sending lewd content and unwanted sexual advances to women through DMs. The allegation first came to light in early December 2024 with Instagram and Twitter user Malone Pops, whose real name is Megan, sharing several screenshots of harassing DMs purposely sent by Muppet History, as well as screenshots of DMs from victims of Muppet History. Muppet History made one apology, which he deleted, then made a joint apology with his wife, Holly Gillespie, which was widely criticized to be vague, like what I just did. The allegations inspired numerous of other gimmick accounts to disavow Muppet History and also inspired memes. Actually, for that one, I'll go and save for later. So basically, the long story short of it is the fact that, yes, Joshua Gillespie actually has a history of using his Muppet History account to go and slide onto the DMs of girls and try to hit on them in a way. And his advances, what he has done, they can range from pretty stupid to actually quite serious. And the ones that Megan has actually called him out on, including with her stories that she posted on Instagram, a lot of these include unwanted flirting, where he would go onto the DMs and try to flirt with whatever girl he could find on his account and who are amongst his fans. And there are some that get a lot more creepy and a lot more serious, where he would go and make sexual advances to those girls as well. He would be demanding nude photos from those girls. And whenever they would say no, then he would go into attack mode and he would really get angry. Apparently, Josh is one of those guys who he is not a fan when someone tells him no. And there are even allegations that apparently he would also send his own nude pics to them as well. Now, at this point, you might be thinking about his wife, Holly, and that maybe she is a victim in this as well, considering that it sounds very disheartening that her husband is going out of his way to go and cheat on her and find other girls to be sexually attracted to. Like, that must really suck for her, right? Well, here's the crazy thing about it. Not really. In fact, at worst, she's kind of in on it. According to Megan, again, apparently she says that Holly is quite well aware of Josh's actions, and she's quite dismissive about it. In fact, some even say that she's pretty cool with what Josh is doing, especially with the fact that Josh and Holly are actually a polyamorous couple, which means that when they like to get intimate, they like to have a third player or even more. So yeah, if Josh would go out of his way to go and find another girl to be horny with, then she's okay with it because she wants in on the action as well. So at worst, Holly is actually a complicit to Joshua's harassment. So yeah, from there, of course, Josh has received a lot of backlash, especially from the Muppet community, where a lot of other prominent Muppet accounts, they stood up and actually called him out on his actions and disapproved of what he has done. So basically saying that they are not okay with his actions. And as a result, ultimately, not only did Joshua admitted to what he has done, but he pretty much canceled Muppet History, or the social media account. And this is a recent post that he actually made as an overall response to this, in which he has stated right over here, reading on his post on Instagram, "Throughout my life, I have overstepped boundaries in friendships and relationships through lies, manipulation, and sexually inappropriate comments. I own all of that. My previous excuse for an apology did not address the situation with the seriousness and accountability that it deserved. It was rushed out and dismissed the voices trying to be heard. And for that, I apologize. I deflected and made excuses instead of taking responsibility. I am scheduled to begin seeing a therapist next week, not only so I can repair the relationship that I damaged, but also that I can one day be a better person, and I plan to seek out any other psychological treatment I need. I'm sorry to everyone who has ever been affected by my behavior, and I'm sorry to those that I have hurt and let down as they learn of this lesson. For the foreseeable future, Muppet History is ending as I step away to receive professional help and work to improve myself. The page will not be receiving a new owner. I am sorry for the damage I have caused, but I promise you that there are so many wonderful and creative people in this community who can brighten your day and inspire you. Please seek them out and give them the love they deserve. From Joshua." So that's pretty much the whole story with Joshua Gillespie and how he got called out this year. And I'm not going to lie, as a Muppet fan myself, I am absolutely disappointed. In fact, I honestly, I am contemplating which I actually feel more disheartened and more disappointed by. Like, I don't know which is worse. That Disney is going to be replacing Muppet Vision 3D with the Monsters, Inc. area, or the news that Muppet History got canceled because the guy behind the social media account turns out to be an absolute creep. And honestly, I might be leaning in on the latter, because at least with the Muppet Vision thing, there is a chance, even if it's a slight chance, that Muppet Vision could come back in a different form, rather it be on Disney Plus or in another area of Walt Disney World or at the Disney parks in general. And this thing here, like, it honestly sucks, because I feel like this is a story we keep on hearing again and again and again, where people with massively prominent platforms would use them for their own malicious intent to go and prey on women. We keep hearing about this. We know this is not the first time, and it's probably not the last time we hear it. And I mean, for God's sakes, we're at the end of 2024. Can we go through the rest of this year without hearing any stupid shenanigans like this? I mean, seriously, it just really sucks. And again, once again, I just want to bring up, Muppet fans are already depressed enough hearing about what's going to happen with Muppet Vision 3D. They don't need this to go include into the mix. And I'm not going to lie, like, I knew a little bit of Joshua, not a whole lot, but I would say we are kind of acquaintances because we did follow each other on social media. I am aware that Josh is at least a bit of a fan of my works, and even with his Muppet History account, he actually followed me on social media. And I actually considered at one point that when I was doing Animation Look Back the Muppets, that I would actually have Joshua to be a part of my research team to go and help me out with my scripts, to fact check on them. I thought he would make a great addition. But he ultimately declined at the end of the day, which, I mean, it's fine. I still was able to make Animation Look Back the Muppets. I'm very proud of what I've done with it. But now I look back at that decision and I feel like, oh boy, did I dodge a bullet with that one. But going back into the actions of what he has done, it's just absolutely stupid, because it's one of those things that I feel like if you're not careful, this could be something that could absolutely ruin your life. I mean, yeah, technically Josh got canceled in this, But in a way, it could have been so much worse. Because imagine this scenario. I'm only doing a hypothetical, but this is like the worst case scenario for any other people with big platforms who would do something like this. Like, imagine this. Like, Josh or a prominent online personality would go and find a girl who just so happens to be a fan of theirs that are following them on social media. And she seems to be a very attractive girl. Like, she's got beautiful pictures, got some nice curves on her, some nice TNA, definitely attractive. So they would go and try to do their little flirting games with them. And you know what? It actually worked. And then suddenly the sexual tension just got higher and higher and higher, where they would be sharing each other like nude pics and stuff like that. So yeah, they would have their times that they would be intimate. But then, then they learned something about her that turned the situation into a nightmare. Turns out she's about 15 or 16 years old? And then suddenly the controversy would just burst out, and then they would hear about that 15 to 16-year-old that they got pretty intimate with, and now suddenly they are registered as a sex offender. Even worse, as a sex offender towards minors. So yeah, that would just ruin them for life. Even if they completely change themselves, that will forever be in their records, and people would just lose their trust forever. Now, again, I just want to clarify, Josh did not go and do this, or at least he did not do this to my knowledge. But I just want to go and put out an example that why doing these predatory actions, trying to use your platform to go and hit on girls or to go and be intimate with them, that's why you should never do this, because it could be one quick slope. It could really be one little mistake that could just ruin your life forever. And the thing that is so stupid is that, if there is one lesson that you need to go and take, is that online fandoms are not a place you should be looking for in order to get laid. It is not a place where people are interested to go and meet up with each other and then eventually have some sex. That's not the whole point of it. The people who follow Muppet history, they're not following them because they think that Josh is sexy and that maybe one day they want to get intimate with them. That's not the whole point. They just want to see funny posts or heartfelt posts about Kermit the Frog and Elmo and all those characters. That's it. And I just want to say, pardon my language, but the fact of the matter is, the Muppet community is not a place where you get bitches, all right? Y'all want to get bitches to sleep with? You go somewhere else. I'm just saying. And on top of that, I just want to also go and make a massive clarification. With the whole situation with Josh's behavior and how Holly is complicit, I just want to make a clarification on what he did not do wrong. Maybe Josh has a massively high libido and that he is often horny. That in itself is not the problem at all. As much as there are asexual people out there, there are also people with high libidos that sometimes they would often have sexual urges that can mount up very quickly and that, they would want to get some relief off. That in itself is not a problem. Regardless if you have no sex drive or a high sex drive, that's perfectly fine. I also want to go and add that the problem is not the fact that Josh and Holly are a polyamorous couple. That is also perfectly fine as well. This is a bad example of a poly couple, but there are tons of all other poly couples, the grand majority of them, that do not think the same way as Josh and Holly. They don't go and do these kinds of predatory actions. So being poly or having a high sex drive, that's not the problem at all. What they have done wrong is the action in itself of going into an online community like the Muppet community and trying to find girls that they want to go and get laid with when it's clearly uncalled for. Because in that regard right there, if you're really looking to go and have sex, if that's your main mission, if you want to go and get laid, then go and find a community that's actually actively looking for that. What Josh and Holly should have done is actually go and find communities that are polyamorous, or if they would go and meet up with a swingers group. If that's specifically what you're looking for, then go and find people who are also actively looking out for that as well. Because what they are forgetting is consent. Like, that is absolutely essential to have when you are discussing about these intimate things. And I can guarantee you, you will not find much consent within online fandoms and online communities. It does not work out that way as well. So what you should do, or what they should have done, is go and find communities that do want to give out consent. Like, that would be like their main goal technically. So that way they would go and relieve some of that sexual tension that they have within them with them, more so than it would be with the Muppet community. Or I'll even go and take it a step further. And I know this sounds absolutely weird, but in this case right over here, I feel like it would be a much better option. I feel like at this point, if Josh and Holly are really desperate to go and find a third player for their intimate games, they should have hired a sex worker. Like, yeah, I know that with sex workers, yeah, it requires money, but trust me, it is a much better alternative, especially when what they are offering is full-on consent, so that you wouldn't really get in trouble for that. Like, if you're going to meet up a sex worker, it's simple. Just give them the money. They will give you the services in which you can relieve your sexual tension, and that is it. You will have that little piece of business, and then you are done, at least for that moment right there, if they go and would need that kind of tension. And I know there are those stereotypes in regards to prostitutes and stuff like that, where, like, you know, they could be dirty and, like, you know, and they could be unclean, and that you should check a doctor and stuff like that. But a lot of that is not true. A lot of sex workers are actually very careful, and that they would regularly visit their doctors to see if they are healthy enough to actually go and keep doing to keep doing their jobs on that. So in that regard, like, there are many of them who are legitimately safe, not to mention that condoms are actually very common when they would go and actually do so. So yes, even they are actually careful of those things as well. And I know that, of course, like, when it comes to that topic right there, I know it is very taboo and it has, like, its own set of problems right there. But still, though, I just want to make a big clarification. Joshua going to find a sex worker would be a much better alternative than going into the Muppet History account, find a cute girl among his fans, and go and flirt with them in the hopes of trying to get laid. You know, it is a much better alternative. So honestly, overall with this, I just want to say that, will Josh and Holly become better? Will they learn their lesson about the backlash that they have received? Honestly, I think so. I do believe that they would go and actually improve upon themselves, and that with the therapy that they will take, that it would actually be helpful, and that they'll learn to become better people for it. But one thing I can also guarantee you, they have immediately lost the internet's trust when it comes to handling a major platform. Even when they do become better, I don't think they'll have that second chance. I don't think, like, it's going to take a long time, like over a decade or two, in order for people to feel comfortable again with the idea of having someone like Joshua and Holly to go and actually have a big social media platform like Muppet History and run that and keep doing their thing, at least with what they are doing publicly. And I'll even say, for me, yeah, I've lost my trust with them as well. Like, even if they've improved upon themselves, I don't think I'll be going back to Muppet History anytime soon. And overall, again, I just feel massively disappointed in terms of what we have learned from this. It's just, it really does feel like a massive bummer to hear that, like, what is possibly the most unexpected social media account turned out to be a creep. Or I'll even say that Muppet History is probably the last social media platform that you would expect they would get tangled up into this controversy. All right, so anyways, with that said and done, Now I'd like to go onto the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about the Muppet history scandal? Are you as shocked as I am about this? Do you think Joshua would ever get a second chance? Let me know what you all think. All right, let's see now. Toxicity happens in every fandom, especially something very innocent like with the Muppets. This is just disgusting behavior that should have been avoided, but it didn't. I hope that Josh does actually get the help, but never come back to social media ever again. Personally, I do have a follower who's a fan of mine and very beautiful, but here's the thing. I keep my cool and talk to each other like people. It's not that hard. I'm just glad I have people that take care of me. That's the important part. Exactly. I feel like, honestly, like for most people, unless you're like actually into that area that involves like that involves sex and stuff like that, you need to separate your online personality and what you do publicly online with what you do that is considered intimate. Like don't go into the internet, don't go onto social media, and especially don't go amongst your followers that would go and, if you want to, in the hopes that maybe you want to get laid. Honestly, I know that I have many, and I do mean a lot of followers that are absolutely beautiful. But I know that they are definitely off limits if I want to go and actually think about intimacy. I'm not going to go and look among my fans in order to do so. I would rather focus on anything that won't get me in trouble, or especially, I would rather put my focus on my intimacy with someone who is willing to give their consent. All right, let's see what we got here. I had to endure a controversy earlier this year with Dr. Crafty, the former artist of Linkara's title cards, and their equally disgusting behavior. What's with people I try to respect being awful people and their wives defending those monsters? I'm just glad, like that time, the Muppet community came together to call out Joshua for their disgusting behavior. It's the only good thing that happened. So the takeaway of this news is that I hope the victims are okay and that they can heal. The Muppets are effed. Yeah. Oh my God. That is definitely true. My heart I forgot to mention this. I am sorry about that, but my heart definitely does go out to Megan and all the victims of Muppet history's behavior. Like that is flat out wrong. And hopefully they won't have to deal with something like that again. Let's see here. I never follow Muppet history or Josh in general, but I have looked at some of his posts on social media. I hate it when my favorite people turn out to be not who they are. This reminds me of the situation involving Elmo's previous puppeteer, Kevin Clash. Do you remember hearing about the scandal he was allegedly involved with him? Yeah, I did hear about that, and I'll say that situation is like very messy. Even though he's no longer working with the Muppets at Disney, I do know that there are some things that it turns out that, he's proven to actually to maybe be innocent. And that's why Kevin Clash is still working on some of the other Jim Henson productions, or I don't know. That's a whole thing in itself. That's that's controversial. So I'll just leave it at that. Anyways, out of all the downfalls I've seen this year, this is probably the most shocking. Josh was one of my favorite Muppet accounts, basically my main source of Muppet news. To say finding this out is a betrayal is an understatement. I'm going to cap off attaching a picture of Rolf. We all need it right now. And here we go. We got a picture of Rolf. We got one of the goodest of boys and one of the goodest of piano players. All right, let's see. Excuse me about that, folks. The previous burp there. Anyways, let's see what else we got here. I thought the news of Muppet Vision 3D closing down is sad, but with the scandal regarding Muppet history, that immediately went from sad to depressing. What Josh did is really disgusting. I feel disappointed of what he has been doing, and I feel really sorry for the Muppet community figuring it out after about his actions. The Muppet community is all about positivity and laughter, now not getting laid or hit on girls. This is just really sad, man. First Kyle Carosa and now Joshua. Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, Kyle is like technically worse, but like Josh is still quite awful. All right, I think I'll read one more comment because we are running out of time before the next ad comes up. Let's see. So I've been in a poly relationship. I broke up with my partners because I couldn't handle them emotionally and verbally lashed out. I don't think poly relationships are inherently bad, but Joshua is just a creep and his wife is way too lenient to let him do this stuff. He shouldn't even be flirting with fans regardless of age. Like, go to a club or something. If you interact with fans, be casual and be nice. I hope if I have a fan base, but I don't go and further than politeness. Yeah, I understand about that. And I mean, overall, yeah, it's not like, honestly, it's fine if you have a high sex drive and it's fine if you are considered poly, but don't go out of your way to be a creep, okay?